Hello everyone, and welcome. This is, of course, CEO Diaries. I am Lauren Dallas. I'm CEO of Future Females, and I'm very excited to be back with you after a week of not going live last week, which actually I really missed. So we are now live everywhere we should be on Facebook group, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Amazing. Welcome. Please do say hi as you connect in. I can see we have a lot of people tuned in across the different platforms. All of your comments are being pulled into me and questions. So I like to make these sessions as interactive as possible. If you've joined before, you will know that. So please do say hi. And as we go through this fairly informal update where I'm going to be experience sharing and hopefully adding value to your own launch and business journey, I'd also love to hear from you. So if you have experienced challenges or have strategies that have worked, that have helped you overcome those challenges, please do share into the comments. I'll pop them up and we can discuss. So amazing. I see Ash, Kailash, Refilo. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. If this is your first time joining CEO Diaries, just so you know what to expect, you've probably seen that we have been working towards the launch of our new Future Females platform since December. So when we hit our 4.5 years in business, we really took a pause and thought, what do we want to do for the next 5 years? What will our community of female entrepreneurs need in 5 years from now? And how can we start building in that direction? So we are building our tech platform. We are calling it a community-led learning platform because that's what it will be. It will be the heart of the community learning and taking action together, which I'm so excited for. But we've been launching that. So I'm sure if you follow us on social, you're tuned in on social, so I'm sure you do. You would have seen a lot of the marketing, a lot of the hype messaging, a lot of the teasers of what's coming behind the scenes. What you don't see is the journey, the struggle, the tough decisions that I and my team have had to make. So that's the intention here, to be as raw, authentic as possible and really take you behind the curtain of what our launch looks like, with the intention of helping you, whether you're in a launch or thinking of starting your business. So hopefully that's what you're expecting. If you're still here with me, I'm going to take that as a hell yes. One more thing before we jump into the topic, and I'm really excited about today's topic. There is a prize. There is always a prize during CEO Diaries. This is really to encourage interaction because it makes it more fun for me, but also you all are on your own really valuable journeys. And so you experience sharing to each other is as valuable as me just talking through my experience. So whoever shares the most or most authentically or asks a great question, I'm going to award a prize to at the end of this roughly 30 minutes together. The prize, as Karen just said, is really amazing. It is your choice of Future Females merchandise. So if you jump on our Future Females Instagram, it's easy to find us. It's Future Females. You will see our shop. You'll see our merchandise items. There are t-shirts, water bottles, totes, bum bags, hopefully everything your heart desires. You'll be able to pick whichever item you like and we'll ship it out to you. So with that said and done, I'm going to get into today's topic, which is how to maintain motivation and consistency during complex circumstances. So the complex circumstances that I'm specifically going to address are related to two key things. One is travel. I'm currently sitting in Sydney, Australia. You can see it's very dark behind me. I've seen from most of you, you're in Europe and across Africa. So I'm 9 hours ahead of you. So I do want to speak through how to maintain consistency, quality when you have different locations, different Wi-Fi access, different time zones, and a little bit of how I manage that. Because, I'm sure a lot of you, like me, you're building your businesses to have the freedom to be a digital nomad and to travel without these kind of ties of your physical location, your face time at an office. But it's not easy, right? It's not what you see on Instagram. There's so much more that goes into it. So I want to chat through that. And then the second complex circumstance that I'd like to spend a bit of time on is related to delays. So I'm recognizing a lot of the names tuned in. So, firstly, thank you for coming back and really lovely to connect with you again. But if you have been joining these sessions for a while, you'll know that we were meant to have already launched. And I'm just telling it like it is, right? As they say in startup land, expect it to cost twice as much and take twice as long. And so delays are very real, whether you're building a tech product or designing something or manufacturing, whatever your business is, you know these unexpected and really out of your immediate control challenges come up, and it causes time delays, which causes expense, which causes self-doubt, which causes an entire spiral of emotions that as a leader you need to stay on top of and also not pass through to your team. So I think that's where the motivation piece I'd love to discuss comes in. So hopefully that sounds good. In the spirit as well of interaction and community, if you are dealing with complex circumstances and you're not sure how to mitigate it, please do let me know in the chat as well. I'd love to answer your questions and help you as best I can, directly, as well as just sharing from my perspective. Okay. So let's start with the complex circumstance of working while traveling. And maybe you guys can just let me know, like, is this your dream? Because for me, one of the non-negotiables when I started a business was that I would never have a fixed location. I hopefully no one from my previous job is tuned in. I used to work in Sydney, so I'm here visiting family and friends. And in my corporate job before I left, I used to work from a park down the road, about a 10-minute Uber from the office. I'd sit in the park, I'd sit in the sun, I'd be swimming. And if my old boss called me and asked where I was, I would Uber to work. So that I'd be like, oh, I'm 10 minutes away. I'm just downstairs getting a coffee. I'm just out at lunch. And that was the cycle that I was in for quite a few months, which is frankly ridiculous. But what it proved to me is that I do not have an employee mindset. And also, and my fiance will vouch for this, I get claustrophobic very quickly. So in any case where I am forced into a fixed structure, like a 9 to 5, I just feel the need to escape. Perhaps that's why some of you are starting your businesses in the first place. So for me, like I said, a non-negotiable when I started this business, Future Females, or actually any of my businesses, was I don't want to feel trapped. I don't want that claustrophobia. I don't want to feel like I need to escape from my business or my life to be happy, right? Rather design, and I always say, design the life you want to live and then build the business that delivers that for you. Don't build the business and then live the lifestyle the business requires. And I've done this the wrong way around. Maybe some of you have as well, but I've learned through doing it the wrong way around that this is the sequence that needs to happen. So let me know if that resonates. There's something called the entrepreneur's dilemma. If you have built a business, and I'm doing a talk on this next week, so it's quite front of mind. If you've built a business that you feel trapped in, you're working in, it's requiring your time in exchange for money, then you might be sitting in what's called the entrepreneur's dilemma, and it would be worth looking it up. It's the point you get to in your business where you kind of take a pause and look objectively and are like, what the hell have I built? I left my job for more time, more freedom, more money, and I've ended up building this thing that is not allowing me to live exactly as I wanted. I've been there, and that's why Future Females is very deliberately allowing me the travel that I love. So I'm just going to quickly check in these comments. Kailash, I see you're saying that's exactly me. I can be grounded, but it doesn't mean I need to be stagnant in one place. Elizabeth also saying it so resonates with me. I think entrepreneurs, like we desire that freedom, that lifestyle, and we want to do things differently. We want to explore, right? That's why we're problem solving. So, so great. you can understand where I'm at. So actually in 2020, and just a quick story related to this, I went and hosted a conference in America. So I was living in Cape Town at the time, flew to America. And if you guys remember, obviously, COVID was 2020. But the South Africans will remember that they closed the borders to internationals earlier than all the other countries. So I was locked out of South Africa because I'm foreign, and I couldn't get repatriated. And so I was stuck out of the country, away from my team, my home. My fiance, luckily, made a border run and managed to join me in the UK for 9 months. And why I'm sharing this is just before COVID, at the end of 2019, I had decided that I wasn't going to travel in 2020 and that my business required me on the ground, FaceTime with employees and with partners. So I had unwittingly compromised on one of my non-negotiables. And I think it's so easy to do this when you're sitting in the business and there's the stress around you and you're like, I'm just going to, let that personal goal slide a little so that the business can succeed. And then I'll go back to the personal goal. But do we? So I had decided that I wasn't going to travel. And then the world decided to teach me my lesson and lock me out of the country for 9 months. And I was forced to learn how to be an effective online entrepreneur and digital nomad. And so some of the learnings that I want to share now, being in Australia, are really lessons that I learned then. And it's not easy, right? You can be in a place, and I remember when I was in Cyprus for a month, and I barely saw Cyprus because I still had to work, still had to manage different time zones. So it's not always as glamorous as we hope, but yeah, you have to balance like the motivation for business as well as the motivation for exploration. One of the hardest things I find is the technical setup, right? I'm in my friend's apartment in Bondi, which is beautiful, but this lighting isn't great. Let's be honest. And it's because I couldn't fit, and I only travel with hand luggage. I couldn't fit everything that I needed. I don't have my ring lights. I don't have my other lighting set up. I haven't sat here before. I've never used his Wi-Fi before. So you have to prepare for things to not work. I remember a webinar I delivered. Somehow my webinar tool had been blocked by the apartment Wi-Fi. It was on there like, don't allow people to visit this URL, red list. So I'm not sure what people were doing on the webinar platform, and I don't need to look into that, but it was blocked. So I had 2 devices, always having a backup device, because you learn that the hard way, and neither of them would work. My phone wouldn't work on this site because I had to use that Wi-Fi. So I think, things go wrong, and it's very disappointing when things go wrong. But I guess how I have approached this is just always being as authentic as possible, Not going to pretend that this is the best lighting setup in the world, but I'm still going to deliver you the value that I hope you expect. So I think that's one thing, being kind of firstly over-prepared as you can possibly be. If you do webinars and you haven't yet learned the hard way to have a backup device, please just take my word for it. I've done webinars where I've been kicked off. I've done webinars where the sound has stopped working halfway through. I've done webinars where the entire thing is just like there's no people in the room suddenly. And so having that backup device, particularly when you're in a strange city, strange Wi-Fi is critical. Second thing, I think, is just being kind to yourself, because it is riskier to travel and work, and things will go wrong and be unexpected. And so when they go wrong, be kind to yourself, right? I remember after the webinar where I lost sound in the middle, and I emailed everyone, obviously, and was like, I'm so sorry, this is what happened. And I got back the most amazing and supportive emails from the right people who actually wanted to engage with me. And I got a couple of snarky ones, like, what a waste of my time. But hey, if a technical issue makes you think that you're wasting your time, like, probably we're not going to be able to work together. So I've learned that as well. And I'm sure, like me, there's quite a few perfectionists or recovering perfectionists tuned in. And this has been hard for me to grapple with, particularly when now I have a team and they're actually tuned in here. I'm going to be answering your questions in a minute. who is looking to me to set the standard. And so if I have a fuck up that I would not accept from them, it becomes even harder, right? Because you want to set that good example. I'm just going to go through some of these comments because I'm loving that they're coming in and I want to do all of you justice. Amazing. I see Kayla explaining that what the work you do in holistic healing, which is amazing and very, very needed, particularly after 2020, as we've just been talking about. Melissa, thank you for tuning in. Trying to start your own business with 9 years of experience. Like to know what you did differently to make sure your business gets noticed as a startup. That's a great question. I get stuck on the word noticed because noticed by who? Do you know, I think that I was kayaking yesterday and I was kayaking with a friend who just got his book published. He's got a book deal. And he was talking about personal finance, and he was saying that he really hates I'm going to call it Americanized, but obviously that's a massive generalization. But this perspective that you fail, and then finally this golden ticket comes along. And he was like, actually, some people just fail, and then die. And I was like, it's a really depressing way of looking at it. And he was like, it's actually not a depressing way of looking at it, because it's not about aiming for the unicorn, right? The $1 billion business. It's about optimizing from your learnings. So Melissa, I'm sure in your 9 years of experimenting, I prefer that to failing, you've had amazing learnings. So I would say really spend time banking those learnings and not necessarily going, okay, this didn't work. What's the exact opposite thing I can try? But rather going, this didn't work. What minor tweak could I make to improve on it? For example, my business before Future Females was also an edtech business selling courses called the Growth Academy. And not to go super deep into it, but lots of learnings. Ended up closing it down because I started Future Females, and that's my entire heart and life and love. But I took those learnings, and now Future Females is better because it's very similar to the previous business. Obviously just catering to female entrepreneurs. So I think that helped me keep honing and the brand, the value proposition, and who it is that I want to be noticed by. So I hope that helps, but please do build on your question in the comments if there's more to touch on. Candy, authentic and frankly makes me feel like I'm less of a loser. You are not a loser at all, my gosh. You are definitely not alone. These things happen. We often think we control technology, but it just always proves to us that we do not. Nena, hopefully I'm saying that right. Online entrepreneur, enjoy working from anywhere. Find yourself, but sometimes different locations come with their issues, but you must deliver. Absolutely. You must deliver, and it doesn't matter. And the right people see through the aesthetic, through to your message. So I love that. There's a lot here. I'm not going to pop them all up. I'm just going to see if there's any key questions I should answer. People sharing their non-negotiables. Amazing. My mom is tuned in right now from the UK. So hello. Okay, let me just have a look. Karen saying trial and error. Always try new things. Everyone's journey is different. Absolutely. Amazing. Okay, so let me know on the complex situation that we've been discussing, working, traveling at the same time. If there's anything in particular you'd like me to touch on. I want to share one really practical thing, and then I'm going to move on to the delays, the second part of complex situations. I feel like on this trip, I have really nailed the package of items that I need to travel with in order to maximize the opportunity of success. So I'm going to just share that with you. Firstly, I only travel with hand luggage, even when I'm flying from South Africa to Australia for 2 weeks. So I like to keep my package of work stuff as lean as possible. So I would say the absolute essentials for those in a similar business to mine, if you're in a very different business, there's probably additional things, is obviously your laptop, is multiple phone chargers. But then the two things that really have helped me is having a selfie ring adjustable. And then secondly is having a microphone. So if you are in a really busy area, or maybe you're in an Airbnb above a busy street even, this microphone, and I use something called the Blue Yeti, it really helps you block out all the background noise. So even if you're on a Zoom or you're doing a presentation or a pitch where you really don't want like the hustle and bustle of the party district that you're probably staying in the background, this microphone cuts all of that noise out. So just a quick suggestion on that front that I've learned. Okay, so I see some people asking questions about funding and approaching funders, which I'm going to give you some feedback on, but I'm just going to cover off on the second part of kind of the topic of this first. But just so you know, I'm seeing your question and I will come back to it in a minute. Cool. So in terms of the topic of today, right, and I was really thinking about what is demotivating me so that I can share as authentically as possible. And it's the delays. And I said at the start, but I think there's a whole bunch of new people tuned in. We were meant to have already gone live with our platform. And it is what it is. I like to set aggressive timelines. My co-founder once said to me, I was like, what would make you happier in your role? And she's like, you setting realistic timelines. But I do feel like there's an energy and a little bit of a push and a hustle. But that has meant that we haven't launched. Well, we haven't opened the doors yet. Realistically, it will be in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So we are almost at the finish line, but not quite. And actually, if I can share really authentically with you, the closer we get to the open doors, the more anxious I become. I read this quote and it was like, a warrior prepares for battle, but there's still a moment immediately before battle when they wonder if all of the training was in vain and that the battle will be lost. For me, that really resonated because no matter how much planning you do, no matter how much preparation, you're always going to feel nervous before actually launching. So you have to trust your decisions, the stage before you became anxious. So that's what I do. But in any case, whether you are feeling anxious or not, I find delays very demotivating because I've communicated to you guys what the platform is about and that it's coming, to the team and even to myself. I'm like, I'm ready to launch this thing. And I'm a marketer, so you can understand. So do let me know in the comments if any of you have experienced this with your launches or your product sourcing. How do I get through this is really just over communicating with the team and reassuring them that everything is fine. Like, yes, there are delays. It's causing expense. It's causing, we hit our waitlist target ages ago. So now there's even a little bit of misdirection. So I've encouraged the team to actually take a bit of a pause. If your job is the one coming, which is, after the platform launches, we've got actually 2 new employees starting today who are going to be supporting our members inside the platform. I'm very excited to introduce you to them. If your job isn't now, then take a pause, re-energize, refresh, try and put a positive spin on the delay rather than seeing it as, a hurdle that's been put in your way. Obviously, me being in Australia is me doing that, right? And I'm not here having a holiday because I'm burnt out. I'm actually great. I'm very excited to launch, but I have a bit of downtime because the tech is the thing that needs to be finalized. So I guess that's how I've personally been compensating and managing the slight delay. The other challenge with the delay is not just your personal motivation, but is the motivation of the community waiting. And so I'm seeing lovely comments in the chat here, but I'm sure some of you are like, freaking launch the platform already. And I wouldn't blame you because we're very hypey. We're so excited. And so our job is really to try and keep you excited or keep you warm if we're using marketing speak. So doing that through constant value add, connection sessions like this. Karina, just have to put this up here, right? Heck yes, please. Just open the doors. If I could do it today, I would. 2 to 3 weeks is my genuine estimate at this point, just so you know. But yeah, for you, it's also a little demotivating. You're like, let's actually do it now. I'm going to put up this question. Cindy, thank you for putting this up here. How do you keep yourself accountable to be consistent if you don't have a team? I have flashes of inspiration and then all comes to a halt. Oh, Cindy, love that you have shared this. So, are you familiar with something called human design? Just pop a yes or a no. I throw this question out to everyone, not just Cindy. Human design is a really interesting framework. That's a nice comment. Thank you on Facebook. Human design is a really interesting framework. It is kind of like a personality test, except how I understand it, not being a practitioner, but a recipient, is that it tells you about your own energy cycles. So, for example, there's a few different designs you can be, but the two that I'm most familiar with, you can be a manifestor, or you can be a generator, or you can be a manifesting generator. My co-founder is more on the generator side. What that means is, and like a generator, the South Africans will be very familiar with this reference, like a generator, your energy level is consistent. So you would actually be great in a 9 to 5 if you're a generator, because you pick up, you work at a consistent energy level, consistent pace, and you can pretty much just keep going. You don't need a lot of downtime. You have probably very good with a routine. The flip side, and Cindy, I'm sharing this because I think maybe we have the same style, is called a manifestor. A manifestor is my style, and that is someone whose energy is definitely not consistent, like a generator. I have like these massive spikes. It might be 4 days, it might be 1 day, it might be 2 weeks, could be 2 hours, but I'll have this epic spike and then I'll fall completely flat. If anyone here is a little bit geeky like me, I think of it like a Pokemon ball. Like the ball explodes, all of this stuff gets done, this mountain of work and creative energy, and you're like so inspired. And then suddenly there's nothing, and you have to like watch Netflix for a day. And when you're on the Netflix for a day, you often look at the generators and you're like, why can't I work like you? So I don't know if this resonates, but this has been my experience with my own kind of energy journey. What I have learned is actually just to manage how I am authentically rather than trying to fit myself into the generator mold. There's a really cool, I think, exercise you can do where you map your own energy levels even through the day and then assign your tasks to that. One of my pet peeves is the entrepreneur mindset that is still 9 to 5. I'm like, no, I'm good from 6 till 8. Then I don't really do anything. Then I'm good until around 2 or 3 p.m. Then I need to exercise to re-energize myself. So take the time to really understand your own energy. And if you do do the test, just Google human design. It's free online. And see and learn about how you can map your work to yourself best. It really, really helped me. It's actually been the most transformational kind of self-awareness test that I've ever done online. Cool. I see people saying, that's me, that's me, that's me. Good. None of us are alone in this, my fellow manifestors. What you're getting done in your wave of creativity is probably a lot more, even with a day of Netflix, than perhaps it would otherwise. Okay, cool. Let me keep going down. It took a long time to accept myself in that way. Thanks for sharing that, Karina. Candy, also a manifestor, feeling incredibly guilty for not being a generator. This helps greatly. Karen, when you do take a Netflix day, you're harder on yourself for doing nothing. Exactly. Whereas actually, we should be gifting ourselves our Netflix days and wholeheartedly enjoying them because we just did 4 days of work in 2 days. I think that's a mindset that needs some practice as well, to be honest. Okay, cool. So we've spoken a bit about delays. I did see a good question up here. I'm just going to pop it up. Okay, there's a lot of people typing comments. I think this is the one I was looking for. Nana, how do you deal with deadlines when you travel and have factors delay your work? Yeah, this is really important. So my to-do list is called an impact list, and I have it split by, and I'm sure some of you know this framework, important and urgent. So that's kind of the matrix, right? Important, urgent. So you have things that are important and urgent, you have things that are not important and not urgent, and then the other two buckets. So what I do is have my important and urgent, kind of my like big rocks, the things that could substantially move the needle in my business, and I calendar block them when I travel. So my team knows that I'm probably not going to do the minor admin tasks, and there might be a week's delay on, our invoice settlement or our tracking or things that I would do if I was in regular hours, but is not business critical. So I can catch back up. But the big rocks, for example, in talking about deadlines, proposals that are due, I block them into my travel schedule like I would block a bus trip. So Monday night, for example, this week, I was like, Monday night, I'm not doing anything on my travels because I have a massive proposal to write and I'm going to block 6 hours for it. So that's really helped me. And similarly, we were talking about being kind to ourselves. I don't try and get to the bottom of my to-do list when I'm traveling. I have my out of office that says I'm probably going to be a little late to respond, or I do emails on a Saturday and just block that weekly. And then delegate if you can, where you can, to your team. And if you don't, that's also fine. But calendar blocking would be the number one tip. But I'm sure some of the other people tuned in are also traveling or travelers. So please do add anything. Elizabeth, how do you motivate yourself when you feel that you aren't going to the next level, feeling that you are stagnant? Yeah, such a nice question. I'm trying to think of a really good example to share with you. But I'm guessing this question might be motivated from a similar kind of core value that I have, which is learning, like lifelong learning, which is also why we're launching a learning platform. Because for me, when I stop learning, I feel like I've stopped growing. When I stop selling, I feel like I've stopped succeeding. And it's interesting to kind of examine those correlations for yourself. And maybe that's also a nice place to start. Like, there's so many spheres of your life. In which way are you not growing to the next level? Because you have all of these tanks, right? When my business is succeeding, my fitness is typically not as good. And that's okay because it kind of evens out over time. So I would say, firstly, examine which sphere is not next level. And then secondly, I find it really important to set goals, but also milestones. So while I'm sure, you have a big vision for your business or for your life, I also think it's important to break it into like quarterly milestones. And personally, I work really well to incentives, even incentives I've set myself. So I know, like, if we hit our waitlist goal, we're going to throw a massive party for the whole Future Females team. On the personal level, I was aiming to run 10K this year. I know that if I hit my 10K, I'm going to send myself off for a long weekend retreat. So I like to tie the growth outcomes to experiences. You might be motivated by something else. Maybe it's quality time. What's your love language? For me, it is the experience and the adventure side. I see Karen sharing, obviously very different. Motivate yourself by looking at your bank balance. That can actually work, right? Motivation can come from the positive, like mine, working towards the experience. It can also come from the negative and knowing that you need to transform. So thanks for sharing that. And I can see someone else saying, not learning really makes me feel stagnant. Absolutely. And Kailash offering some support to you, Simone. Love this. This is why I love these sessions. Obviously, I get to connect with you, but you also get to connect with each other. So we've been going about 35 minutes. So if you've tuned in before, you'll know we like to keep this to 30 to 40 minutes. So if there's any final questions or perspectives, please do add them. I'm going to answer one more and then I'm going to award our prize winner. So quick reminder, if you win through commenting or sharing, then you get to choose your favorite item of Future Females merchandise and we're going to ship it out to you. Cool. Okay, so Simone, let me pop yours out. I run a creative business but need help with the business side, and it gives me a headache every time I think of sales, marketing, etc. Where and how do I find someone who can help me? So, firstly, Simone, well done on even understanding where your strengths and your weaknesses lie. Um, it's interesting. My co-founder Serena and I, she is very operational, and I am very much sales and marketing. So recently we wrote a playbook. If you're on the wait list for our new platform, then we're now giving this playbook away free. It's normally $27. So if you're not on the wait list, jump on. The link is in the caption on every channel, and I'll send it out to you. This playbook helps you start your business. It's literally the step by step. We sat together and said, if we were to start again, what would we want to know? And I was like, I would want to know all of the operational things you bring to the table. And she said, I would want to know all the sales and marketing things you bring to the table. So I think in this situation where you do have that really clear focus, bringing in a co-founder or a team member, depending on the stage you're at, can be really helpful. Outsourcing, even as Karen has just offered. So I think firstly is deciding what role you're trying to fill. Is it tasks and therefore you could outsource to an agency or a freelancer? Or is it a partner? Or is it a strategy? So if it's a strategy, maybe you're hiring someone. If it is, or if it's a partner that you're looking for, maybe you're close to the start of your business and you have this massive vision and you know you need someone who is invested personally, emotionally, as well as technically, then maybe you're looking for a co-founder. I would love to suggest that you can tap into the Future Females community. I know you're on YouTube, Simone, but if you jump onto Facebook, we have a Facebook group, and a lot of people use this group to find the people that they need in their business. So give it a go and try there. Secondly, once we do launch our platform, you'll each have your individual profiles, and one of the things we'll have on the profile is, what are you looking for? So we can help you. We're also building a discussion forum called Needs and Leads. So whatever you need, like you've just shared, you'll post into the forum, and whatever leads people in the community have, will share back with you. So I'm quite excited about that feature. But start with a Facebook group, because as you know, the platform is not open just yet. Amazing. I've just had a reminder that I said I was going to come back to the funding question. I'm going to give you a very quick answer because this is a whole big topic in itself. So how to approach funders, how to secure funding, how to get your funding presentation together. Do you even want funding? Are you at the right stage of business to look for it? And what is stage appropriate finance? I'm going to make this a topic for a couple of weeks from now. We have a finance arm of Future Females with an amazing, amazing manager leading it. So I'll actually bring her in to CEO Diaries because we could spend a long time discussing this. So let me do that. But the second thing that I want to say on funding is that we have a free platform called Future Finance. And on this platform, we have listed different funders. Basically, the intention is to bring transparency to the funding process. I think that a lot of questions around funding come from the fact that you really don't know what's happening. Like, how do you reach people? What funders in the ecosystem are looking for businesses like yours? So that's the platform that we have built called Future Finance. So I'm going to share the link into the comments on, I think it was on Facebook and on LinkedIn where I had these questions, and you can have a play around. We also have a funding course that's going to be in the platform. We have an amazing entrepreneur. She has raised several rounds of funding, but she started it with nothing out of her pocket with her partner. and she is going to be coaching on exactly this: how to position yourself, how to get access, and how to go through the stages from seed to Series A to Series B. So firstly, check out Future Finance. And secondly, keep an eye out for that course. It's going to be a good one. And then thirdly, I will schedule the funding talk with Shirley, who, as I said, runs our finance arm, and we'll do a kind of deep dive on the funding questions. Hopefully that is going to be helpful. Okay, I'm going to reward our prize. Yay. So whoever I'm going to pop up on screen, you have won your choice of Future Females merchandise. And give me a second. I'm going to select Kailash. Kailash over on YouTube. If you are still tuned in, congratulations. You are our official winner. Thank you so much for asking questions, for sharing about your journey so vulnerably. And please just DM us on Instagram's probably easiest, or Facebook, your email address. Our team will be in touch and we'll show you all of the options, and we will mail out to you your pick of merch. Amazing. And Kailash, even as I was awarding the prize, you are adding even more additional comments. And my personal favorite: come and release your inner goddess. So thank you so much, Kailash. Love it. You've said always be rooted within yourself, believe in yourself, always put yourself in the client's shoes and what you would expect. It is not easy, but remember how far you have come. So I'm sure everyone in the community can get a lot of value from that inspirational message. So please DM us your email. And guys, that brings CEO Diaries to a close for the week. I've really enjoyed this session. Thank you all for tuning in. We will be doing CEO Diaries again next week. Same time, same place, whichever channel you are on. So keep an eye out. And I look forward to connecting with all of you then. Have a beautiful day or evening or night, wherever you are in the world. And we'll speak soon. Thank you all. Bye.